In today's homework video, we're going to be discussing a concept called resource guarding. Now, most of us are familiar with what resource guarding is. It's when our dog gets pretty ugly because they're protecting things like bones, treats, toys, very obvious situations where we get the growling, snarling, collecting, and they don't want anyone else to go and retrieve those. Resource guarding can happen between other dogs in the house, other owners in the house, or a combination. Now, before we dive into the specifics, our philosophy of resource guarding is a very broad strokes approach first. So, because we're teaching you a comprehensive new lifestyle to live with your dogs, that in and of itself, application of this consistent micromanaging leadership style of interaction with your dog on a daily basis, that will inherently get rid of most of the specific resource guarding issues. We don't allow bones to be laying around the house for dogs to go pick up whenever they want because we're place training them and they're learning how to wait patiently for our cue. That way, when we do give them bones, it's not a big deal and they don't want to resource guard it because we have kind of squeezed out any drops, any potential for that mentality to take root. Dogs that resource guard, they are thinking that either that resource is finite, so I need to protect it at all costs, or more commonly, they look at it as that person is beneath me or equal to me, so I am in the status symbol to be able to resource guard whatever it may be. Again, that's not a follower mental state. That's not us being the leader, them being the follower. And like we've said many, many times, it is not about domination. It's not about physically dominating your dog or anything like that, but it is about consistent leadership. I can't be the big bad leader and say, "Give me that bone back," to my dog when I don't make them place during the day. I don't make them respect me when they come out of the kennel. I don't make them look to my cue for guidance when we're going on a walk. I can't even do simple tasks with them like hold them in one position inside the home. If you can't accomplish those little minor tasks throughout the day, yes, resource guarding will still continue to be an issue with you. And now we're talking about human and dog specific resource guarding because we as people can be resources to be guarded as well. If we have a dog cuddling on our lap and we see the dog become aggressive or show those aggressive behaviors towards other people or other dogs that are in our home, then you need to understand that them being up on you, on your position, is elevating them in their mind, their status in the household. It's elevating it to make them think that, hey, I'm allowed to do this. So if you're the one that they're resource guarding your love and affection, that's a great opportunity to say no, mark it no, redirect them into a more functional obedience command like place or come off of me and go to the couch next to me. But getting that functional, reliable correction from whoever was getting treated as the resource to the dog will kind of, again, bring them down a notch to let them know you don't get to do that to me. I am not something that you get to resource guard. Food is a big one. So when we talk about food being a resource that dogs want to guard, most of the time it's because they have some kind of a pecking order between the dogs in the household or between the dogs and the people in the household. And again, broad strokes, our new lifestyle should avoid that from taking root and from developing because we're going to step in, everything structured before we go make the dishes of food. And then when we actually do feed the dogs and they get to group eat in their own respective areas of the house, we're controlling the actual feeding portion. And then after the feeding is done, you need to condition your dog how to go back to the dog bed when they're finished eating, and we'll reinforce for that. And now we don't have dogs wandering around sniffing bowls. We don't have dogs wandering around eating leftovers because we don't free feed anymore. We monitor the feeding process, and then when our dogs are done or disinterested, we pick up the bowls and collect them up. We're not trying to avoid things, but yeah, we're being proactive. There's a big difference between avoiding the issue and proactively working your dog through that issue. With bones, it's the same thing. Your dog should be allowed to have bones whenever you deem it necessary, or toys, on their object while they're placing. That's a great opportunity to start introducing it back to your pack. But every dog needs to know that they have to stay on their place and they get their bone. We're not going to go shop for brothers and sisters. We're not going to go leave that bone and go try to hide it somewhere and then go grab another bone and bring it back to our place bed. They get the bone on that bed, and then after a certain amount of time, we can come back and offer them some high value treats while we also take the bone back. And that's just to let them know, just because I'm coming over here isn't going to be removing that resource from you. It's going to be giving you something else you really, really enjoy. But yes, at the same time, we're going to kind of trade versus me taking it away from you if we're building back that relationship. But again, that will be much more of a tolerant relationship when you're the one getting them dressed in the morning. You're the one telling them no for getting off their bed throughout the day. You're the one going on walks with the dog. But if you're still struggling with those basic things and your dog still doesn't respect you to the level that they should, then maybe let's avoid the bone nights for a little while we manage the other parts of our behavior and the other parts of our relationship with your dog. Resource guarding, to sum things up, is a very avoidable situation and issue. When we create a structured lifestyle, we solidify ourselves as the leader on a daily basis consistently, and then we monitor the resources that get delved out. And again, with toys, if we're having dogs that want to fight over toys, then we don't get to do group play anymore for the time being. We need to monitor a little bit closer when they have access to toys, for how long, and what structure. Because remember, toys are not made to occupy our dog's brain for hours at a time for them. They are made to enrich our relationship with the dog. So we bring out toys and play with our dogs, us being present in that process. And then we'll take the toys when we're done and the dog is exercised and we've had our fun, and we'll go back to a calming protocol like place training or duration in the down or whatever the case may be, kennel time. They're not like Lego sets though. Dog toys are not like Lego sets where we can just let our dog play with them for 30 minutes at a time and hey, go do your thing. Like, you have to be present for that interaction, and then in doing that, it builds up the relationship that you have with your dog. It solidifies ourselves as leader. All the good things that I've already mentioned throughout this video. And we can also work on impulse control throughout that process with our dogs by making them wait and then play and then be calm and then play. So depending on what type of resource guarding issues you are having, let your trainer know, so that way you can go over specific protocols that they've instilled into the training plan to avoid resource guarding from happening. And that way you can implement those controls and techniques when the dog graduates and comes back home.